Hey, Russell of Hotels. Oh, there you go. Hey, Russell of Hotels going live just for a couple of minutes. You guys know how I do it. Today is the daily check-in. That can only mean one thing if it's a Monday, right? Because we got Miss Tiffany, and I didn't even know. Check this out. Okay, so I didn't know who this was, right? Because Tiffany got a new dude, little sassy and everything, little sassy attitude today. So
We
when
meet
she
today.
came
It's
on,
every day.
oh, okay. Well, no, it's this. You got a little extra sass for some reason because you got your little
Oh goodness.
hairdo. I'm like, okay, I see you.
Thank thank you. I like to be
Woo! That looks
seen.
good.
Thank
It
you.
looks good. How are you? How are
Thank
you?
you. I'm good.
You
I'm
doing all right?
good. I'm good. Happy Monday.
Oh,
We're right. We're
happy
back on schedule on our
Monday.
Mondays.
Okay, well, that's what I think. That's what you say. Okay, but next week could be something different.
Yeah,
So we are live
probably.
on, yeah, probably so. LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Okay, so let me just make sure we are live on Instagram. Like I said we are. Yeah. So this is the daily check-in. So Mondays are devoted to Miss Tiffany. She comes on and gives us her, whatever. And I never know what we're going to talk about. I never know what the topic she has in her head, and maybe it's a good thing that I can't get inside that head. So, because I don't know what's going on in there. It just be stuff be going here and there. But anyway, but yeah. So the so the so we talk about everything, anything hospitality, as it relates to the most part, for the most part, meet the meetings industry. Okay, so whatever that is, if that's talking about destinations and CVBs, or if we're talking about hotels, we're talking about service, we're talking about things that we look for, because to me it's all about assisting people that may not be experts at this kind of stuff with doing meetings or whatever. Because I get a lot of people that are not in the industry, they're not in the industry, and they're always asking me questions about, like, how do you do this, or what's going on with that, what do you mean by this, I heard you say this, like, what is a DMO, a CVB, what do they do, it's free. I mean, I get all these kind of comments, and people will reach out to me and call me and ask me these things. So we kind of bring, I mean, I kind of did that anyway, kind of bring some of these things to light. But now Miss Tiffany, she's been doing this. You've been on here for about a year now, right? Has it been about a year?
Yeah. We've been rocking with each
Yeah.
other, huh? Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
ain't that something? So anyway, so that's
Hmm.
it. So if you have comments at all, feel free to do it. I already see a chat, so make sure. I see Craig Sullivan. Good morning, aloha, Craig. So thank you so much, Craig's diehard, right? So I appreciate Craig, always coming on, and even if it's just a good morning, I appreciate that. In fact, we got to put that on. We got to put that
Yeah,
on.
that's a good morning, not just good
Oh
mornings.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Normally it's an aloha. Now he's doing a
Yeah.
good morning. I mean, what's going on, Craig? Is something going on we need to know about? No, I'm joking. But anyway, what's going on, Tiffany?
Okay, what's going on? What's going on? All right, so I got something for you, and I know we've talked about it before, but something came up last week that made me say, "Oh yeah, I got to bring this to Russell." So, so we both do this, but I do quite a bit of planning sight unseen. Like I can't get on site a lot of times. A lot of times I have these 1 day events, and it doesn't even make sense for me to come out. So I say this because a lot of times I have to lean on my event manager. You got to be my eyeballs. You got to embed me, when we're going to this event. So last week I'm finalizing the logistics for an event this week. And they said, hey, we got the AV set up. We got how we're going to set up food. Send me a room diagram of what it'll look like. And I've done this with every event. And I sent an example of here's our standard room diagram. And that person replied to say, oh, yeah, we could do that. No. I need you to send me yours from your room. And so it's prompted me to talk about this, Russell, because Lately, I've just it's tooth and nail. Once you sign the contract, you're passed over to the event manager. For me, it's usually the event manager because we're just
Mm-hmm.
doing the space. I need you to be the expert in the space and relay that information to me. A lot of times, I get a room and they're not giving me the details, the images, the floor plans, the what it looks like. I need to, it's hard. I have not been able to go on a site. I can't dream up what it's going to look like. So yeah, I want to talk about how we can work better. We're talking about planners, we're talking about hotels. How can we work better when we can't get to you? We can't see your space,
Oh, you're right. You're right.
right?
Now, let me ask this. Now, do they know that you're not going to be on site?
Yeah, it's not a surprise. It's not like, oh, by the way. So, yeah, I do definitely, because I'm connecting with who will be on site.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think about just specifically what I do, my team comes on site expecting everything to be ready. They are not the planners. They are the ones that are hosting the event. They don't know about what the F&B needs to look like and how the AV. No, that's my job.
Okay.
And so when I communicate this to both the sales manager and the event manager, introducing them to on-site person, we, as a team are supposed to work together to make sure that event looks like it needs to look, which is simple as a room diagram. And specifically because every room is different. So if I send you what our setup should look like, very simple setup. It's some screens, tables and chairs and crescents. And you've done this. You've been in the business. You know the difference between full rounds and crescent rounds. Simple setup. But what ends up happening, and this happened last week, different rooms have those different dimensions. We need screens on the long side of the room. And then my team came in last week and they were on the wrong side of the room because, we didn't know how long the room was. You have different types of ballroom spaces. We need to be able to see that if we're not being able to walk that space. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. So okay. So I guess we got to start at the start of this, right? So when it's booked, you did not know did you when didn't you know what the diagram looked like, or when did you not have a diagram of the room, or did you ever have a diagram of the room? Did you just assume it was one way, or what? I need to know all the facts here.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, just even with contracting a room, and most times it's a ballroom or a partial space of the ballroom. And ballrooms are pretty typical, right? They're large, they have high ceilings, great space. And then, they'll send me the specs and the diagram. So, okay, fine. And I think going towards, the end of where, the logistics happen. So maybe a week or two when we have the event where we know how many people are going to be there, where we know how the food is going to be set up. That's when we talk about the specifics. So that, I guess the answer to your question is, I know generally what the room looks like, but now we're going to be specific on what it needs to look like for this specific event. And that's being connected with the event manager as opposed to the sales manager who sells the space and says, oh yeah, we have plenty of space. We have 14,000 square feet of space. Yes. Your event will be great. Yes. Oh, Craig is jumping in. Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah. I want you to finish before I put his comments up there. I want you to finish your thought before I put Craig's comments up here.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, to answer your question, our full diagram is usually when we're getting most of the logistics with the food and the setup.
Okay, so you meet with your conversation before the contract is signed is with the sales manager, and sales manager. I ain't just saying, I kind of, I don't want to say the wrong thing, but sometimes they'll sell the dream, but it's someone else that has to take care of it, right? So because the salesperson's job is to sell it, they're not to they're not going to be the one that, okay, this is going to work or that's going to work, unless they're real experienced and they know that part of the business. but their job is to just sell it and they move it and move on to someone else, right? So you're dealing now with a convention services or catering salesperson or something like that, and those are the ones that basically would send out the diagrams to you. Okay, this will work. That with a schematic with round tables, half rounds, crescent rounds. Yeah, I am being careful. I'm being careful, Craig. Thank you. So they're the ones that would send that stuff out. Okay, so I guess my question to you is, when do you get involved in this, and where is your diagram? Because a lot of times we have our own diagrams of what we want this to look like.
Sure.
Will it fit in your space? Will it fit in this, whatever, 20 by 20, whatever the heck the space is, right? But I'm sure whoever, when you book this, you have an idea that this program is going to work in this one particular, meeting room or space or half the ballroom or whatever.
Right.
So go ahead and let me put Craig's comments on here.
Yeah, it sounds like I need to work with Craig because I like that complete diagram there from the
beginning.
beginning.
Have the room diagram. Got to make sure my event's going to work at your hotel. Yeah, Craig does several. Well, he didn't do it this year. Damn it, Craig. But he does a couple of the Click conference, right? Which I know he has to have diagrams for that. I know. I mean, you can walk in and tell that, okay, Craig knows what the heck he's doing. Maybe, he's evolved into where he is now, but I can tell that, I mean, everything is mapped out. I mean, there's diagrams. He's asking for this. He's asking for that. They're sending him back these specs and these diagrams because he wants to make sure everything is perfect, right? Because there's a stage and there's all this kind of setup that he has to have, right? So he has it in his head what he needs it to look like. Now, do you have it in your head? Because I'm sure your meetings don't change. They change. I mean, do they change? Sure. Maybe they change based on the size of the room or whatever, but the setup is for the most part the same, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I want to go back to what you said, and you said it before, between that the connection between sales manager and conference events manager. And I mean, that is a whole different conversation, but the selling the dream part, because it's like, yeah, of course this will work, and I've gotten diagrams from the sales manager. This is the space, this is how it's going to be. And then it's something about getting that event manager. And I'm like, am I bothering you? By the way, I'm still waiting on this room diagram for this event this week from the event manager. That I want the details set up. I want to be able to, if I'm not there, I can visualize what that'll look like when I walk in. Is that the buffet set up? It's supposed to be outside the room. Is it set up? Can I see it on the diagram? Now we have our event order. We have our F&B and everything is listed on there. And then that was an issue too with one event where it was supposed to be set up. The event order was set up correctly, but then you get on site and it's not. And they admitted, like, oh, yeah, I see that there's discrepancy, and the event manager came in and made it right. But at the same time, it's, making sure that visually that this is what's going to look like what we discussed. And a lot of times well, not all the time, it's that disconnect between that sales manager, like you said, selling it, like, oh, yeah, it'll fit. This is great. We can accommodate your screens. You want how many? Great. And then when they connect me to the actual person,
that's where information doesn't some of the information doesn't go across. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, you can have everything in writing, and you can hold up that event order, like, hey, this is what we had. But then you get on site, and there might be that disconnection even between that setup. You have the catering manager, but then their team, the setup team, maybe set up differently. I don't know. I just, it's just, I guess I just want to really communicate how important it is to have all those details in place for someone who is not on site. And that was my biggest thing when I was thinking about that last week. Like, I really, as an event manager, as someone who's on there, who knows their space inside and out, I need you to be my eyes. I need you to communicate. I need you to understand that. So if it's, getting on a phone, because that's another thing too. Like, hey, let's get on a phone call, because if we're not communicating right over email, let's have a phone call. But even sometimes that's hard. I'm over here playing, like, leaving messages like, please call me back. And it's discerning because, like you said, the sales manager sold the dream, and we're
Yep.
so eager to work with you.
Yeah.
The salesperson, they did their job. They
Yeah.
closed the books. But
Yes.
then how, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great experience. But because I hadn't met with the event manager, now I'm like, oh, that experience is not matching what I thought it would be. You know what I mean? Which is,
Yeah. I'm getting some comments here. Hold on one second. Craig says, I never do a buffet. I always have the meals plated and served. Yeah, just easier on the guests or attendees. Yes, yes, I got that. I like that. And Miss Dejana Pagano, hey, welcome back, Dejana. I appreciate you coming on. Good morning. I still believe a good salesperson should round up with good space information at first. Okay, I like that. I don't believe they should wash their hands from it completely. I walk in sales shoes and it never hurt with an extra 20 minutes. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. So yeah, salespeople, and I guess in the real world, yes. I mean, in our world, we want that to happen. But sometimes what we want sometimes doesn't. Because every hotel is different, right? Every
right,
person that you deal with, every salesperson is different. Some of them will hold your hand until is until the other person, the conference service or the convention services person takes it over, right? And they kind of worked in tandem. They know each other because a lot of times they partner up. They do this all the time. And that's
right,
what I look for. I mean, do you work with this person? Because sometimes I've been in hotels where it's a disconnect. It's the salesperson, the sales is disconnected from the convention services person. Okay. I mean, it's just how it is. They don't,
yeah,
they work together, but do they necessarily get along? I mean, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't,
no
right?
drama there.
So exactly. So it's important that that you start selling that dream to them. They have their dream because they want you to book there, right?
Right,
But you have to make sure you're say forcing this is the stuff that I want done. This has to be done, or I'm not going to sign it. I'm not going to sign it. I need to have a conference call with you and the convention services person before I sign that original contract. Okay. Because I
yes,
want to make sure this can be done. I want to see diagrams first, just like Craig said. He always makes sure before he signs anything, all the diagrams have to be received, right? Now, if they make mistakes and they don't do it, well, you have everything in writing, right? It's been
right,
signed. This is what I wanted. And you're telling me it's not. Well, now you got some recourse there. Okay, well, this is what I asked for. This is what I got. Okay. I ain't paying for crap because this wasn't taken care of. So, I mean, we never want that to happen. We don't want it to get to that point. But initially, you have to, let them know what you're looking for. I'm not going to be there. Okay. But these are the things I do this all over the United States. This is the 30th program I've done. They've all went flawless. Okay. And the only reason why is because I'm on top of this. So if I come across as being, with a little attitude, it's because I'm a perfectionist and I want this shit to go right. So
absolutely. And
yeah.
well,
So I
and
mean,
that's to my point about us being partners in it. I want you to treat my event like it's your event. I don't feel like you should just be, in the background as an extra. So, like you said, it sounds like we're getting, maybe I'm being nitpicky. Well, you should just be as nitpicky as me.
exactly.
This is
You're
your
right.
event just like it's my event. And, you know, what ends up happening is you want us to come back. I want it to be such a great working relationship that I'm going to prioritize coming back to you because you get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Tiffany's right. Communication is the difference
Oh,
between
yeah,
a good event and a great event. I love that. Yeah.
absolutely. The
That's
communication
what
and
I'm talking
the continued communication. Absolutely.
Yes, revenue management has depleted the quality of the dream sale. I recognize it's a firm statement, but I believe it's the underlining pressure on
Mm,
the mighty dollar. Huh.
that's interesting. So
Hmm.
I take it as so I'm wondering if you mean that some of the service is being, depleted because you have, a higher goal to meet those, those revenue goals. You have to sell it, so you're not really you're just saying yes to everything, even if you don't mean it, because you have a goal to make. I'm curious.
Well, I, that can go either way. Yeah, yeah. I would say, yeah. I mean, they're on
Mm,
under pressure to make their goals. Everyone has goals, right? Everybody has, there's a pot of gold at the end of this rainbow, right? In order for me to get there, I got to have so many sales, right?
sure.
So yeah, sometimes, yeah, we can do it. I mean, I can say, we've kind of forced things and not necessarily, force a number that we know is tight. Like say there's 200 people, we
Hmm.
know that that room does maybe 185 and it's kind of tight, right? But 200 it can be done, but you're gonna have, instead of 8 at a table, you're gonna have 11 at a table or something like that. So
And
yeah.
that's concerning too. That's burned me as well, where I was guaranteed, a certain amount would be there, and then again, because I'm not on site and I'm getting a phone call saying, "Hey, I thought you said this room would hold on 125. We can barely hold 100." And see, and that's on me now. So, like I said, we have to be in this together, and you have to be really transparent of what's going to work and what's not, and bottom line. And whether, I get it, you have a goal to meet, revenue management. But when I tell you something like that happens, best believe I'm telling everybody I know. So I'm telling everybody I come across, nah, don't book with them. Because let me tell you, they'll tell you if it's 125, but it really does this. And so at the end, you know, what are you really gaining from that? You're losing potential business because you weren't upfront, you weren't transparent, and we're not going to work with you. This is a relationship driven business with longevity. I'll remember things from 7 years ago. So don't think that we can just brush that off. And I think understanding that, that's a relationship that needs to be nurtured.
No, you're right. You're
Um,
absolutely right.
right.
You are absolutely right. Do we always think about that? And I said we because I used to be on that side, right? Do
Hmm.
we always think about that? Not all the time. I hate to say it. Not all the time. We don't think about that. We're trying to, like I said, depending on the property that you're at, there can be a lot of, pressure on you to book this, to book that. But no, I mean, hopefully we're not at that point. I mean, I like when I was younger
Sure.
as a young salesperson, yeah, we would do whatever we needed to do. But as you get older, and your reputation becomes everything, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? Then things change a little bit. Like, you know what? I would rather not book anything if they're not going to be taken care of. Okay. At the end of my career,
Exactly.
that's what I'm thinking. That's how I am now, right?
Exactly.
So, but then I see some comments. I see Miss Michelle Flippo. Now she is with Oxnard CVB DMO. She says that's when you need to contact the local DMO. Okay, see, hopefully before you even get to that point, you've partnered with your DMO, and your DMO is letting you know that okay, this property is good for that. That person, and they give you some insights about
They do.
the inner workings of that hotel and that sales department or that catering department. They know stuff, not that they're going to publicize to everyone else, but
Sure.
because you have that relationship with them, they're going to let you know, like, hey, let me just so you know, you need to stay on top of this person because he or she does a great job, but you do have to kind of stay on top of them. You know what I mean? Do
Yeah.
weekly meetings up until do weekly sales call and weekly Zoom calls up until your program, right? Because he or she kind of hesitates on certain things or forgets certain things. I mean, those are things that someone outside of that property would know that maybe the people on property wouldn't tell you. So that's another reason why it's important that
I
you
I
do
love
that.
them. And then, as it says, DMO destination. I mean, they are experts in their destination. So whether a hotel is beautiful and gorgeous, is it in the right area? Is it easy to get to? I had to maneuver a property because our local team was saying, hey, it's a mess to get to. So those DMOs are great for that inside destination intel. And I appreciate y'all.
Definitely. Okay, so
Yup.
Craig has a question here. What the heck does that say? Russell and Tiffany, who is easier to work with, a brand managed hotel, third party management company, or an owner operator? Now, do you know the
Oh,
difference between all those, Tiffany?
well, I know the difference between a third party management. You know, I got some things about that. I assume brand manage and owner, or well, I guess we're talking about franchise versus corporate. In my eyes, that's what I think. But you have
Yeah.
more experience with that.
Yeah. I mean, do you know, okay, before you sign or before you're interested in a hotel, let's just back up. Let's just even take
Sure.
this a step further. Say we're at IPEC, okay, and you're meeting with, a hotel. Do you know for a fact that they are corporate owned or they're managed by XYZ management company? I mean, you know the brand, right? It could
Sure.
be a M, it can be an H on there, right?
Right.
But do you know if they're owned or managed? A lot of them are not owned anymore, but they could be managed, or it can be a franchise. It can be a third party management company. Do you know the difference? Did they tell you that?
Not right off the bat. I usually, so when I do my outreach, it's usually by their email. Usually it's not, if it's not so and so at Marriott, it's so and so at management company. And that's usually like, oh, okay, that gives me, um, you know, okay, now I know. But not typically. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've gotten to, just to kind of answer that, Craig. I've gotten to the point where I ask when I sit down
Okay.
because
Yeah.
I do want to know, just in case. I mean, just in case I do book there, right? I want to
Right.
know, who I need to go after for the most part. Not necessarily, but no, just compare the person I'm talking to versus a a corporate person, someone that has received some training or whatever. Because one thing that's missing, and that this is from my experience only. Um, if it's not managed, or if the people that I'm dealing with didn't come from a corporate managed mentality, there's a lot of things that will get missed. They
Yep.
will miss certain things. They don't have the same drive that someone else that maybe didn't have that training. I started with corporate Marriott when back before franchise were a big thing, back before management companies became the norm, right? So I came from that, so I know what's expected. I know where some of these people came from. I know what their training was, and I know I can rely on them to do certain things, because if I say I need this, I know they're going to do it because they come from this world of SOPs, or standard operating procedures. And the people that have and who have not gone through that, right? So those are things that I kind of look for. And yeah, there is a difference, Craig. I mean, I've had an issue, and I've talked to Tiffany about this before, where there's one property in Arizona dropped the ball big time, and there was no recourse. Everybody's passing blame to everyone else. And the thing that was really disheartening, it was a company I used to work for. It was a third party management company. I'll say it. It was Aimbridge, and they disappointed me. Okay, they really disappointed me. I went up the ladder, and nothing was ever, to this day. This was 3 years ago. To this day, it hasn't been resolved. Nothing's been resolved. So I have issues with certain management companies. Okay, and I think some management companies do a better job than others.
Yeah.
And I mean, and I'm not trying to throw all of Aimbridge under there, but it was an Aimbridge property, and I tried to escalate it to Aimbridge corporate, which is in, I think, Dallas, somewhere in Texas, and it fell on deaf ears. So deaf, not deaf, but deaf ears. So yeah, I don't have a problem with saying it. I would never tell the hotel, but when it comes to a management company, we need to do better. We need to do better.
I
So
agree. I think, and I didn't come from the hotel industry. I just do events, and I want events done correctly. And what I've noticed through third party is the lack of communication or the slow communication. And I mean, we're talking about, several days to a week or two. And I just think, that's when I see third party, I'm kind of, it gives me pause. Like, and to your point where you said there's different standards between, who's getting the proper training, and I see that in third party. And I'm not going to say all third parties are, are bad, but I have done this enough to know when I compare between, corporate and third party, there is a drastic difference in how they handle contracts, how they say things. I mean, we're talking about, can you do this? No. And I know some of these, hotel, how the training you get where, hey, let's see what we can do. I know the difference between the language that I should receive, as a client. And so yeah, Craig, to your point, third party gives me, if I, had my way, I would steer clear, and if, we had two complete, venues and one was a third party and one wasn't, and they're all the same, I'm going to go with, the corporate entity. Just because, yeah, it's an issue. And then also, more importantly, I mean, I like that you asked that question, but I want to know, are you on property? Because, since the pandemic, are you on property? Are you on there day to day? Because a lot of these third parties and, franchises, they're work from home and they're on the other side of the country. That's not going to help me. So that is something that I want to know.
That's true. And it's not just the third party. It's not just the management company to do that.
Right.
It's corporate. Marriott is big on that. I know people here that represent the hotels here. They're not located in those hotels. So when they're doing site tours, they will never do the site tour. You're just talking to that person and they're handing it off to someone to do everything else. In fact, they only do the contract, and that's it. Once that contract is signed, I mean, you don't see them now, but you'll never see them, but it gets handed off to someone on property. So you never have talked to that person at all. And I think, I think that's but I mean, it's been going on for a while now. I was going to say it was a huge disconnect. Well, that's how they do business. In fact, I've done several programs with Marriott where, I mean, the programs worked out fine. Thank God. But I was kind of hesitant at first. I mean, I hear about it, but I had never dealt with it. And then now I'm dealing with a person that's working from their home, which is fine. Everybody wants to be remote. Okay. But once that contract is signed, you'll never hear from them again. And it's someone on property, someone that you never met with. You didn't build that relationship with them. Okay. So when you sit down with these, are you on property? Are you remote? I mean, let me know. I mean, not that, we don't care one way, or we do care, but we just want to know. We just want to know how to deal with this. I see Dejana says, I mandate to understand the brand's SOP when it comes to service. Oh my God, that's good. Formulas that apply to space. Okay. I like that. Because a lot of these some hotels, like I said, you're dealing with a Marriott property or like Marriott managed, SOPs are a big thing to them. Okay. They remember and they're real regimented in what they do. Because I still remember the SOPs that I had to deal with. I mean, I still apply them every now and then. So okay. And then Craig says, good news, travels fast. Wait a minute, good news travels fast. Bad news travels even faster.
Oh, yeah. Tell it again. Say it again, especially in our industry. Let me tell you, you piss off one planner, that's like pissing off 10, 12, 15, and it just multiplies. Like, don't do it.
We all communicate. We all talk. I mean, we have a show here. I mean, not that this show is for, to air out all our dirty laundry, but we're sharing experiences. That's the thing. We're sharing experiences. But just think, I mean, the last one I went to was IPEC. And I only done one thing this year. But I remember a group of, I don't know, about at least 10 planners are there talking about, things that didn't go right at certain hotels or whatever, or things that they didn't agree with at maybe the program that we were at. I mean, man, they get together and it can be vicious. I'll just say that. It can be vicious.
Look, and we're name dropping. I mean, this is a show. We're trying to be very cognizant, and it's not, but you get to these shows and behind the closed doors, we're like, look, don't go to this. I mean, we're naming XYZ. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think, when it comes down to, securing a contract and working with someone, think of the long-term effects. So, and that's why it's important to have that transparency and be honest.
Yes.
Don't lie to us. It'll get back
Don't
to
lie to us. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Okay. Miss Pagano said, I had a salesperson tell me recently that 350 can fit in 5,000 square feet of meeting space. Seriously? I asked what planet she was from, and I did a one-on-one teaching.
I'm sorry. Is this my first day? Do you not know that this is what we do day in and day out?
Exactly. And Miss Pagano has a CMP in back of her name.
Oh,
So
see.
best
Okay.
believe she knows what's going on.
And we're talking, okay, so not to get on a whole different subject, but when you commit that number, you're not talking about the tables, the chairs, the stage, the podium, the AV. So that 350 that they so-called said was probably, no, even if it was 350, it's probably more like 300. So yeah, you can't really go off of these max numbers when you talk to the salesperson. You really have to, yeah. You
may want to consider virtual tours live.
You know what? I would not be opposed to that, and I would think the salespeople in these hotels should be the ones to initiate that. I feel like, and we talked about this, Russell. We've talked about, why aren't you showing your property more? Why aren't you putting pictures online? Why aren't you showcasing why aren't you going around with your phone? So if you're wanting to do a virtual tour and you really want the business, like you said, you have these goals to make it work and initiate that virtual tour. It's not on me to say, hey, can we do this? But I would definitely be open to that. Absolutely. You invite me to a virtual tour, I'm there.
I think more hotels should do that. I think destinations should do that as well. You just kind of show what's going on. I mean, I'm not show the entire destination, but have certain points of interest. You know what I mean? I did this one. It was what was it? It was a virtual fam trip. Okay, it was with I want to say the Greater Palm Springs CVB. And they had representatives from one hotel and then maybe some offsite venues and from a DMC. And they were talking about different things and they would show certain points of interest. I mean, they weren't showing entire Palm Springs, all the hotels, of course not. But they were showing one because there was one representative from, I want to say it was the Tommy Bahamas hotel that in the Palm Springs area. And so they had a representative from there and they were showing parts of the hotel. So it was a virtual thing, and it get you involved. They had questions and all this kind of stuff, and it was kind of cool. It was unique. I had never done one of those before, and what they did ahead of time, this really blew me away. And this is why I'm still talking about it today. They sent out, so they invited, I don't know, let's say 10 people to do this, 10 people virtually to do it, 10 meeting planners or hotel site selection people. But what they would do, they would send out these cocktails beforehand. Okay, they would mail them to you. Okay, like a signature drink for this particular hotel. I think it was a martini? It was like a martini, right? It was a pre-mix. One was like a virgin martini, and one had a little alcohol in it as well. So you mixed it, shook it, poured it. While we're doing this virtual thing, we're having a cocktail. It was like 12 o'clock or something like that. I thought that was the coolest thing.
I love
because they got you involved. It was virtual. You did get to see the people. You did get to see some of the points of interest. So it was interesting. So yeah, so I think sometimes virtual tours can be a good thing. I think we need to do more. I mean, I think we're in the age where we can do more of that stuff, and I just don't think, because I always talk about visibility. It's all about visibility, right? Not just visibility with us. I think it's visibility with us showing what we're doing, where we've been, all these kind of things. That's just me. It's just me. I know
Well,
you got
okay, so I have 2 points to that. I love that. One, the intentionality. They had to organize to send that ahead of time. So it wasn't like, oh, just show up to this fam. Okay, we're going to, no. So I love that. And two, I love it. Virtual tours. I love how you said that. We're not talking about webinars. We're not talking about slide, next slide, next slide. We're tired of that. Give us a virtual tour, but make it intentional. So like they looped in that drink that you're still talking about it. You're telling me about it. You're telling people. So now I'm in my mind like, well, when's the next one? So you know what I mean? It's not a webinar. We're done with these webinars. We don't need to see your destination of the webinar. We can go to the website, we can go to your social media, but do something to keep us, engaged. And I like that. I like that idea a lot. Absolutely.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty unique. Shout out to Sam Thompson out there in Greater Palm Springs. Franchise is sticky to work with. Yeah. We talked about that, but yeah, they can be. They can be.
Well, also when things go wrong, they're hard to remedy.
That's a good point. That's exactly the deal the things I was dealing with, right? So yeah, there's no, who am I going to call? Those point of reference. Everybody's pointing fingers over here like that. Oh, you need to call this person. No one takes ownership. And that's the thing that really got me was the director of sales didn't want to take ownership. I was thinking it was the general manager getting involved. He didn't want to take responsibility. So that's why I kind of escalated to the corporate. Well, corporate didn't do anything with it either.
Because they said, oh, that's franchise's problem.
So, that's the thing that I just, but yeah, so they are sticky to work with. Yes. Thank you so much. Let's see the next one. You want to stay away from a third-party real estate company. Yeah, those they're trying to manage it themselves and operate it themselves. They own it and they're trying to do everything themselves. Yeah, those
and don't understand hospitality.
Yeah, they understand owning property, and that's fine. They do a great job of that. But when it comes to the intricacies of a hotel, operating a hotel, they refuse to hire a management company, right? They want to do it themselves because they think that they're going to save money and all that. Well, no, at the end of the day, you're not saving money because you're going to end up screwing something up because you didn't know anything. You didn't know enough to remedy that situation or whatever. Yep. So what's the next one? See, I love this. All these comments. I love all these comments. Why can't this happen every Monday? Okay. Recently, I booked a corporate hotel and communication was poor. I feel the salesperson was too rigid and focused on dollars, not service.
I've been there. I feel that. I feel that recently too, though. I don't know what's going on.
Wow. Gotta go. Aloha. Great show. Thank you so much, Craig. I appreciate you coming on. I thank you so much. Ms. Pagano said, I wonder, Tiffany, do you put together an additional note of expectations, sort of conditions at introduction? That's a good one. I love that.
No, but that's a good thing to think about. Note of expectations. I mean, I do have, I wouldn't call them expectations, but kind of just more of a flow. When we start talking about F&B and setup, and then just kind of additional, and then a lot of times recently, I'm seeing it makes sense to hop on a call to reiterate what I said, and then get that. But I think I do need to be a little bit more intentional about those expectations. Absolutely, especially when I say I want us to be in this together. I want to communicate that. So. Yeah, that is good to know.
That's a good one. That is a good one. Hey, we're on today. This is a daily check-in with Russell of Hotels and Miss Tiffany. Mondays are devoted to Miss Tiffany. So that's why Tiffany's on here, and she's talking about, she's driving the ship today. So she came up with one topic, and the floodgates just opened because obviously this is a hot topic. Okay,
it's not a just me thing. Clearly.
And we got Craig Sullivan on here. We have Dejana Pagano. We have Michelle Flippo on here. So we have representatives from a DMO. We got representatives from Craig, who plans these meetings as well. And then we have conversation or information coming from Dejana, who is a CMP, which means that she's a certified meeting professional. So she knows exactly what she's talking about. So I appreciate
And she
everyone coming on.
knows that you cannot put 350 people into a
And
5,000
5,000
square
exactly,
feet.
exactly. And I see
Yeah.
some comments over on, or at least some people jumped on Instagram. Paul Vato. Hey, Paul Vato, you're in Vegas, right? No, you're stationed in Vegas. You live in Vegas, but he said greetings from Chicago. Okay, I don't know what's going on in Chicago. Why did people there in Chicago? I don't know what's going on.
Because it's the greatest city ever.
I don't know about all that, but anyway.
It's raining right now, but
let's move on. I don't expect my first day. What happened? Did I miss something, Miss Dejan?
Oh, maybe continue on. Maybe it's a continuation. Oh.
And then exactly.
See, we're on the same page today.
If you're buying the ballroom, then they should make time to show all exits, entrances, service access, kitchen proximity, pillars in room lights, etc., etc. 1 hour is worth the purchase and investment.
I agree. And lately it's been, depending on the property with ballroom, like you said, your entrances, or is there an additional way to access it? Is there the parking has been a big one. And that's another thing when you're talking with someone who's not on property and I'm asking questions and they're unsure. I'm like, how are you unsure how the parking situation is? So, and then, like I said, this is why it's so important for you, salesperson, event manager, to act like this is your event. How are your attendees showing up? Are they coming through the main entrance? Will somebody come through the side and know where they're going? Is there directional signage? How much signage is there? I'm not on site, so what do I need to know? Do we need to send signage ahead of time? How much signage do we need to send? So those are things, I do have these conversations when we're, closer to the event. But what are the questions I need to ask? I don't know your property. You know your property. So if you know that you have a secondary entrance, tell me.
Now, do you
I don't
have,
know what to ask.
Let me ask this. Do you have a checklist that you go through regardless of the property or the salesperson you're talking to? Do you have a checklist you go to? And then that way they have to acknowledge those things, right?
I do. I have a general checklist that says, tell me about your parking. You know what I mean? So yes, things like that. I think, and then, hey, how is the validation of the parking? And I think something came up recently where it was in the contract, we're hosting the parking. And then on me, they asked, how is the parking validation? This property was like, we'll send you a code ahead of time to give to your attendees, and they have to punch in a code. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this was going to be complicated. I'm used to getting a validation ticket, So to your point, I have the general checklist, but what are the specific things that I need to know to make sure that my attendees have that, an easy experience to get to your location, right? So, just even things like that are set up. If I'm saying, hey, we want it set up this way, and you're saying, well, we do have this little, archway, so it'll be easier if we said, tell me this, because you know your property. I'm going off of all the events I've done and how, and that's one of my questions, how we can do the setup. But if your property is different, your venue is different, you let me know, and those discussions need to happen. So. Yeah.
I like that. Okay, what does this say? You make me think about Oprah and her belief with intention behind anything you do. It's why her show was the best for 25 years, because of intention. She held her producers accountable. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Real estate only sees dollars. Yes, you are right. You are right. And then Michelle says, I enjoyed this, but I have to jump off. No, I appreciate you coming on, Michelle. In fact, I will see Michelle next week, next Monday. So now this reminds me, I may not have time to do this next Monday because I'm going to Oxnard to do a tour of the destination, which is Oxnard, which is right outside near Santa Barbara, right before Santa Barbara, if you will. So I'll be there, and Michelle's going to show me, Oxnard. So I'm looking forward to that.
I am looking forward to hearing about it. So I've never been to Oxnard, but I know they have been doing, and to your point about visibility, I've seen some of their clips at North Star events, and and I've had meetings with them. Like, have you been? But it's on my mind. So at least they're doing something right, because I'm curious about Oxnard. So
I am too. I'm going to see. It's been a while since I've been there. And the last time I was there, I was not a planner or hotel site selection. I was still on property. So I think I still had maybe about 5 properties to go before I called it a career there. So it's been a while. It's been a long time since I've been there. So I'll get a chance to be reintroduced to that destination, see what's going on. And Michelle didn't know that I didn't eat meat, right? So she prior to this, she had emailed me something. She said, what would you like to see? And we can have lunch. And she recommended a restaurant, and I kind of perused the menu. And I said, well, are you familiar with, non-meat eats, or do you know I don't eat meat? And she said, oh my God, I did not know that. But ahead of time, I kind of Googled vegan restaurants in Oxnard, and there's at least 2. There's probably some more, but there's at least 2 in Oxnard. So we'll go from there. But no, it was good to see. And I told her, I said, because I asked her to come on the show and be a guest, right, on Air with Russell of Hotels. That live hospitality talk show that everyone's talking about. I asked her to come on, and she said, well, first of all, she was hesitant to come on, right? I said, well, it's just all about, maintaining your visibility, not just for Oxnard, but for you, because, you're the one, and people tend to forget this, that they are the brand. I'm the brand, just like you're the brand, Tiffany, and just like Dejana Pagano's the brand, and Craig Self is the brand, right? You may represent other things, your company, your organization, but you are the brand. You're the brand that people will buy from. So I'm letting her know that. I mean, that's how it works, right? So I said, but in order for me to maybe talk about and showcase, the hotels that are there or the destination itself, I have to be there. I have to have experienced it myself. Then that way I can come back and say, hey, I just spent time with Michelle at Oxnard and blah, blah, blah. I can say all these things, and because I've been there and I've experienced it, right? I can't do that and I'm not going to do that. I'm never going to do that if I've never been there before. So there you go.
Which is fair. Absolutely.
Is that fair? I think so too. So There you go. But thank you so much, Michelle. And another note from Tiffany. A note for you, Tiffany. I am at your service. If ever you need like feedback, brainstorming outside your company, sometimes another perspective helps us level up more.
Absolutely. John, I'm going to make sure we're connected on LinkedIn.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. See, it makes me want to sing.
I just sent you a connection. So, yes, I will take you up on that.
That comment makes me want to sing.
Oh, geez. When don't you want to sing?
Well, this has been good. We're at 54 minutes, right? So this has been really good. I appreciate everybody coming on with their comments and everything. I see people, like I said, a couple people on Instagram as well. Appreciate you guys coming on as well. So okay. In closing, Tiffany, you got the floor. What you gonna close with? Don't get quiet now.
We
don't need gaps in talking. Okay.
I feel like I said my best stuff. I'm like, wait, what can I leave?
This is in closing. Okay. This is just in closing.
In closing. in closing, like I said, we're partners in this. So I just say, salespeople, event managers, let's all work together to make a successful event. And that way we come back and we're happy and we rave about it. Because Russell, isn't that what we do? When we have a great experience, we rave about it. We tell everybody.
Heck yeah, we do.
So let's do that.
We do. We want to rave about things. We want to recommend, our colleagues utilize that space or that hotel or that destination as well. But of course, in fact, the good stuff always go further than the bad stuff with us. Okay, we may just say it was bad with it, and we'll leave it alone, and we'll just move on to something else. But the good stuff continues to talk about. I mean, I just gave an example of what Greater Palm Springs did with a virtual fam trip or fam tour. I thought it was great. So there you go. So
yeah.
And then Miss Pagano says, "Awesome, Tiffany." And also, I lost you for a minute back on. Okay, no worries. No worries. We're about to get off here, but no, thank you so much. We appreciate you, Dejana, for coming on. Appreciate, once again, Craig, Michelle Flippo with Visit Oxnard, and then Paul Vato over there on Instagram. He's in Chicago, so hopefully, Chicago's going well for him. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I will say this. Tomorrow I'm going to, it's called Hospitality Summit. And I'm really excited about that. It's an all-day thing here in Chicago. They do it every year. I'm actually able to go this year. It's going to be education, panel discussions, and then there's a trade show. So I think there are a lot of people in town for that. They're showcasing their space and destinations. So I am excited to reconnect with some colleagues of mine and then, meet some new connections. So
is Caesar's going to be there?
I don't think they are. So I saw Caesar's at another event and they were asking about it. So I don't think they are. And I'm like, hey, why don't you know about this show? So I don't think, even though I did extend an invite to see if they were going to be there, but no. Why are you being messy? Why would you say that?
I just asked the question: is Caesar's going to be there?
Say that. Why would you call them out like that? There's going to be quite a lot of destinations there. So destination hotels. Looking forward to it.
I wish beauty in your week. Let's get it. Haha. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. You have a great week as well. We'll be back. We may be back on Monday. It just depends on what's going on with me. Maybe I can do it live from Oxnard. I don't know, but we'll touch base. If not, then maybe we can do it on Wednesday.
Okay. Sounds like
so we'll do it next week. It may not be on Monday, but we'll do this.
Sounds game.
All right. So anyway, you guys have a great day. Happy Monday to everybody. And thanks again for joining this daily check-in with our guest host, Miss Tiffany English. She got our new do, so she had to, hopefully next week it looks the same. Something tells me next week it's not going to look like this.
Why would you start like that? See, now you got me, because yeah, you're right. Still, you're right. It'll be different.
Oh, that was a good one. Woo. And on that note, you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you soon. As always. Bye-bye.